This reminds me of do as I say, not as I do. This lawyer is almost condemning himself or condemning the case because he's basically saying that upgrades don't have to be disclosed. You know, tens of thousands of upgrades. Oh, that's okay. Now, if you give it to me, does you have to disclose that? Oh, it's an upgrade. Why don't we come up with other terms? Like we can not call it an upgrade, call it a Twinkie that came from the sky, right? Twinkies don't have to be disclosed. There's no explicit law that says that Twinkies have to be disclosed. This is outrageous. These lawyers are making up their own laws. Like, they must live in a dream world. This says, well, that's not the real world. Well, the people, the taxpayers, don't get these upgrades, don't get hundreds of thousands, don't get special treatment. When the Brooklyn Borough president writes to a fire chief, they're in fear of their job. That's what the influence is. It has to do with private phone calls and the political parties and the clubs. So I don't think this lawyer is living in the real world, right? Because I think the U.S. attorney is doing the right thing. Let's lower the bar to the $50 conflict of interest board law. Now, the conflict of interest board law, we're going to have to look at that because it actually says vendors. What the heck is a vendor? Possible or future vendor. So almost everybody's a possible or future vendor. Obviously, the Turkish government building buildings in New York City is a future vendor. Just listen to this guy.
Eric Adams, he hid this secret of the airline upgrade corruption case that he was hiding it from all of you New Yorkers. That's not true either. When he flew in his face and in his name, and he booked it on his credit card. And the fact that he didn't disclose those upgrades, the truth is, they didn't bother to check this, but the truth is you don't have to disclose upgrades.
Where's this guy making up these rules? Let's look at conflict of interest board. And maybe I'm misunderstanding, but the conflict of interest board, I believe that borough president has duty in the conflict of interest board laws, right? Top 8 things about public servants need to know about gifts. Public servants cannot accept a gift of $50 or more, called a valuable gift, from a city vendor. We'd have to understand what a city vendor is. That seems to be too narrow. That should say, country, foreign country, any person, right? It should include foreign entities and foreign countries, and meaning any person or firm. Person or firm, a Turkish government must be considered a person, right? Or a firm, one of those two, who the public servant knows is or intends to become engaged in business dealings with the city. Well, isn't building a building in New York City a business dealing? Isn't inspections by the fire department business, right? Isn't it? A gift is anything of value, including a meal. So now he's arguing that all this is okay. The lawyers do this all the time. But that's not the law. The law doesn't say, oh, if people do it, it's okay. That's not the law. I can understand some silly thing like, you have alcohol and you're drinking privately. The people say, well, do it all the time. That, maybe you can argue that, but not hundreds of thousands of dollars of upgrades. No private citizen gets that from the Turkish government. This is just outrageous.
The truth is, they didn't bother to check this, but the truth is you don't have to disclose upgrades.
Really?
That's not one of the things you have to disclose.
Really? What do you have to disclose?
So I'm going to explain now
why don't you explain?
Bribery works in real life.
You're not going to believe this. This guy's concept of bribery is, I come to you and say, I want my building to pass inspection. Here is $1 million in the bag. You do this for me. This is his. This is the only case of bribery. Maybe that's what I. Let's listen.
And I'll use an example. A businessman comes to New York City. He goes to the head of an agency. He says there's $1 million in the bag. I'm going to give you this $1 million, and you are going to give me a $20 million contract with the city. And that's the quid pro quo. That's how it works. And
Oh, thank you. That is the only case of bribery. Is that what you're saying?
New Yorkers lose there. New Yorkers are harmed there because they don't necessarily get the right product at the right price. That's not what happened here. There was no...
Wait. So Eric Adams gets showered with all these gifts, and that's okay. New York City was not hurt by that. Well, somebody was hurt. The Turkish people might have been hurt. That airline must be charging higher charges because they're giving away everything to other people. Maybe that seat could have been paid for by some real person, and then the Turkish government could lower the prices for the regular people that have to fly in the business or whatever the rest of the plane is called, right? Or the U.S. people. So to say that nobody was hurt seems... How can you be the judge of that? I don't understand how this person, he's the judge of that. I mean, it's obviously not impartial.
No quid pro quo. There was no this for that.
Really?
The indictment alleges that then, 10 years ago, as Brooklyn Borough President, he got favors, and that at some point, then 10 years later, Turkish House. That's not a quid pro quo arrangement. There was no quid.
But here's the question is, yeah, it's 10 years, but shouldn't that... First of all, why did the Campaign Finance Board not say anything about this? Maybe they don't know, because you don't have to disclose upgrades, so maybe they never even knew. But that should be explicit. The Conflict of Interest Board says $50 or more. That should be the same for the campaign finance. There should be some requirement that all disclosure, all non-explicit monetary benefits, I think there must be, right? Because you can't give in-kind that's an in-kind contribution. That has to be disclosed, right? Now, personal travel, if he pays for personal travel, obviously he doesn't have to disclose that. Who cares? He's using his own cash, but I don't see how they can track this stuff. I think the reality is you kind of have to disclose everything because it's hard to track, right? As a elected person, it's a big burden. It should be a burden to run. It shouldn't be see how many luxury trips I can get, right? That shouldn't be the measure, right? I think this is wrong. It's just wrong. Now, later on, stay to the end because we're going to find out the person that's reporting this. I don't know. I don't even want to listen.
There's no connection over this 10-year purported conspiracy of how those benefits have anything to do with 10 years later and the request at the Turkish House.
Well, we'll have to see. Right? That's a good point.
There's no contemporaneous this for that.
Really? Is that how that's all you care about? Okay.
There's nothing more than basic courtesies that happen to members of Congress every day.
Well, listen to this. So now this upgrade of $100,000 worth of upgrades in luxury hotels and upgrades and free hotels is the same as not having to wait online. I don't know. I think Congress people should wait online, and I don't think anybody should get special treatment, right?
There was no problem. Again, the timing and Mayor Adams' then role as Brooklyn Borough President, it makes this clear, right? It just doesn't make any sense. 10 years later, and all of a sudden, it's the Turkish House. It's not even in Brooklyn. When he's getting an upgrade 10 years earlier, They're upgrading him. It's not even in Brooklyn. He's the borough president with very little power in Brooklyn. There's no contemporary exchange.
This is just this guy doesn't live in New York City because he doesn't know how political everything is, or maybe he does, who knows, but everything is very political here, right? So a borough president can call the fire, he can call the political clubs, he calls the party bosses, and that's what they call themselves. And yeah, there's big problems for that fireman. That fireman wants to save his pension, so they always hold the pensions against them. And when they are forced to resign, they keep all their pensions. That seems to be the game that we're all playing, right? Keep your pension. The pension has nothing to do with it. Retire, be happy. In fact, we'll give you a golden parachute.
Know this for that. And then there's the quo. And what they allege is they can't allege that he actually did it, right? Because he's the Brooklyn borough president. He didn't take any official acts. What they say is that, you see, and again, they're reaching, even here, that he pressured, they just use this word, pressured, the FDNY to take any action. But of course, in the very message in question in this case, the key moment of the case, he makes it abundantly clear he's not pressuring them. He says, just let me know if it's possible and I'll manage expectations. It's the opposite of pressure. That's what you say when it's sort of just the same phone call that politicians make in every city in this country every day. Routine activities, setting up meetings, hosting events, calling an official, asking a question, gathering information. This is not sufficient for criminal federal liability. There's no contemporary exchange of this for that. And remember, we're now at the quo. This is the big moment, the official act that you need to bring a federal criminal bribery case. And remember, they told you, that, Eric Adams, in the airplane upgrade corruption case, he did things in secret. And you might be asking yourself, how did they get that text message between the Turkish gentleman and Mr. Adams? You might be wondering that. He gave it to them. He turned that over to them.
So if this person is correct, then they might get off. But that's not the normative description of this. It's normative. Normative means what should be, not what is, right? We should hold elected persons to a higher standard, not a lower standard, not the lowest whatever, like who can get as much as they want. They're paying the campaign people, young people, hundreds of thousands of dollars from taxpayer money. You're getting cuts of the political contributions. That doesn't make any sense. That's not the way these. First of all, we should just eliminate all these matching fund programs. If people want to contribute, they contribute. I don't think the taxpayer should be involved in this situation. Why should the taxpayer be involved? The taxpayer should make an explicit decision whether, obviously, taxpayers can contribute if they want or they don't. But what you're doing now is 12-to-1 match in the state, 10-to-1 match in the city, 10-to-1, 12-to-1, 6-to-1, 8-to-1, whatever. If you want to keep money out of this, then we got to get rid of these public matching, actually have some kind of real limits. I know the Supreme Court said you can't stop people that can contribute their own money, right? Independent campaigns, let them, independent, whatever, contributors, whatever. The Supreme Court says that can happen. And the answer, I don't think, can be let the taxpayer try to fight Bezos or Elon Musk or whoever. That can't be the answer. There's got to be a better answer than that. Let's move ahead to the questions, maybe.
They just can't help themselves. And it's worse than that, actually, because they're trying to manipulate and fool and taint all of you. But there is a part of their little presser that I wanted to borrow. If you watch the end of it, it's sort of, you can tell they spent a lot of time writing that.
Can you speak a little bit more about why he didn't report the travel benefits and why he thought. Hi, everyone. Oh, okay. Can you speak a little bit more about why he didn't report the travel benefits to the Conflict of Interest Board and why he thought it was appropriate to accept those gifts?
Yeah, well, you're not required to disclose them to the
Why? Why are you not required?
to the Conflict of Interest Board or to any public disclosures. So there's a legal opinion on that issue, whether upgrades and these sorts of courtesies and gratuities have to be, and the legal opinion is they don't. Yes?
They can't disclose the ratings trips at all, which my understanding, that is required.
No, it isn't. Personal travel is not required to be disclosed, and the other thing that's not required to be disclosed is upgrades and things of that nature. I will also say that as we descend, there are cases that are like this case where politicians have been fined $10,000. There's just never been a case where federal charges were brought on such charges.
Disclosed
Yes.
some of his trips to the Conflict of Interest Board. Why did he seek that opinion if it's not required?
I'm not going to have time to do 2 or 3 questions for each person. I'll ask you.
So I guess Eric Adams requested an opinion, but we should look that up.
Yes.
In your filing today, you say that the case was based on facts that were provided by an ex-staffer with an axe to grind. I wondered if you could go a little bit further and explain what you mean by that.
Well, I think I've said a few times that the case, and I think the government has even alleged in court, and you can read the indictment and piece it together, that this entire case relies on one witness. That's it.
What's her axe to grind?
Well, you're going to find out. Yes.
Why are you, so you went into the bribery and why it's not bribery and you're moving to dismiss that charge. And then you went over the donations and why it's not $10 million like the prosecution outlined. Why are you not moving to dismiss that charge? And what evidence do you have of the leaks from the prosecutor's office other than the articles in print that you referenced? Do you have evidence of those leaks happening?
Yes, we do, and you'll find out in the coming days. The second thing I'll tell you to answer your original question is certain claims and allegations in an indictment can be dismissed quick survive, but we didn't move to dismiss it,
Operating based on your allegations and what's in the indictment. So why isn't she trustworthy, and what did she lie about?
Well, it's forget trustworthy. That's a bigger, more complicated question in life. Their own indictment says that she lied. Right? The indictment the passage that I showed on the board says that she lied to the agents. Then says she destroyed her phone.
Well, let's look at that. I think he's speaking there. I don't think he means destroyed the phone. I think what he means is she tried to delete things from the phone. Let's look right there at the actual searchable. So the Adams staffer, which we now know is, we actually know her name, and I think it's in the news, also agreed to speak to FBI agents and falsely denied the criminal conduct of herself and Adams. So, wait a second. How is that lying? I mean, which she instinctively, if you don't know it's criminal conduct, falsely denied, among others. At one point during her voluntary interview, the Adams staffer excused herself to a bathroom and while there deleted the encrypted messaging application she had used to communicate with Adams, the promoter, and the Turkish official, and the airline manager. So she was using Signal or WhatsApp or whatever that supposedly deletes messages. But they do auto-delete messages, so I guess they were not using the auto-delete feature. But of course, I think WhatsApp in these places store the messages, back them up. But I think that's what he means. He doesn't mean destroyed her phone. That would be a bit more.
Another even bigger lie that they haven't told you about. I'm wanting them to tell you because I'm watching the Brady clock and I kind of want them to tell you. And then there's more lies that I think is this case.
What is a Brady clock? So let's look over here. Brady clock. What is a Brady? Maybe there is a Brady clock. I've never even heard that term. Brady clock. There must be something in... What does a Brady clock mean? Bits? Maybe Tom Brady clocks? No, he cannot mean Tom Brady. There must be a law-related Brady Bunch clock? No. Law? Maybe I'm misunderstanding something. Law. Maybe in law there is something called Brady clock? Ah, the Brady Act. National Instant... No, it can't be that. A waiting period of 5 days before a licensed importer may deal, divert, transfer gun. What? Brady law. I don't know what he's talking about. What is a Brady clock?
Kind of want them to tell you. And then there's more lies that I think as this case unfolds, you'll say.
What do you think it is? What do you think the lie is?
Well, maybe I know. Next question.
I mean, it seems you're not going to really tell us any of these falsehoods that you claim that Rana Abasova had told, but I just want to offer you the opportunity.
Did you hear that? Rana Abasova. So now, this has been in the news, but nobody, I think no one's that's not paying it. No one that's just, paying attention lightly would know that name. But here it is, Rana Abasova. So I don't know if you noticed that, but no one's saying that name in this little case here, but this person just said it. So let's look up this Rana Abasova. She shows up in a lot of things. This One Brooklyn Fund. I don't think her name is here, but she's one of the employees or something. You could see it went from enormous to nothing. Let's just look up this Abasova person. So this Rana Abasova. Rana. Yeah, there she is. Abasova. And it appears that she's still on the website. There she is, Internal Affairs. It looks like she's still there. And there she left her picture there. She's been removed, but yet it still says she's here. There it is. That's right off the New York City website. Oh gosh, you can't make this stuff up. The city is falling apart. Abasova, salary, staffer 4 days ago attempted to hide corruption with Turkey. She's connected with Turkey. Who is Rana? How long has Adams been mayor? What does that have to do with? There she is. Oh, she's in multiple pictures. Who acted improperly. What does ID mean? Look at this. FBI probe. More images. The poor person has been... there she is everywhere. Yeah, she's the aide. City Hall aide. Don't tell me this is her too. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. You gotta be careful of these things. Oh my goodness. I guess you can't even see this. Welcome to X. You have to sign in order to see these. X is such a mess. So let's go back. Does it let me go back? Yep. This is a disaster. Look at it. She's all over the place. Azerbaijan woman appointed. So she's Azerbaijan. Looks like there's a relation. Rana Abasova, Eric Adams, Hellgate. Oh my goodness. This is just too much. This poor person is going to be put through the ringer. It looks like, oh, she keeps changing her hair too. Look at that. She has blonde hair. Eric Adams. Oh my goodness. This is crazy. Temper tantrum. Look. Peace. Peace, people. Peace. Wow, look at this. Poor Rana. Her face is being mixed up by Google. Google's mixing up everything here. It's hard for Google to keep track of things. Oh gosh. What is this now? Holy smokes, what is this? So she got another name too? Oh, maybe this is some communication. I'm afraid to even look at these things. Oh, so he's very proud of her. Oh, this is some expert in policies. Azerbaijan woman. See, this is the real politics of New York City. Look at this. Yeah, this is scary. Look at this. Rana Abbasova and Eric Adams have been working together. So this person is like appointed the International Relations Department. Oh my goodness. Offshore. Oh gosh. Look at this. Oh my goodness. This is amazing. We are proud of her success. Oh, gee whiz. Turkey. Yeah. This is what New York City has become. A hotbed of Turkey. Wow. I don't know what to say. Peace out. Abandon all hope, ye who enter here.